Montesquieu's solution is elegant in conception, but complex in implementation. Divide governmental functions into 3 distinct types, assign each to different institutions controlled by different people, and ensure each can actively limit the others. These 3 powers are legislative, executive, and judicial. The legislative power is the authority to make laws, to decide what the general rules are, what behaviors society will require or forbid, what policies the state will pursue, what values it will enforce. This is fundamental sovereignty in a sense, the power to determine the basic framework within which everyone must operate. In a free state, Montesquieu argues, this power should belong to a representative body, the people's elected legislators, who debate and decide on general laws through deliberation and voting. Not a monarch making decrees, not judges creating law through interpretation, but a dedicated legislative assembly whose entire function is creating general rules. But Montesquieu adds a crucial refinement that most previous theorists had missed. The legislature itself should be divided internally. He envisions a bicameral system, 2 separate houses that must both approve legislation before it becomes law. Why divide the legislature? Because this creates an additional internal check before laws even reach the other branches. One house might be more democratic, representing population directly with frequent elections. Another might be more aristocratic or federal, representing regions or providing more deliberative consideration with longer terms. Neither can legislate alone. Both must agree. This forces compromise, prevents rash decisions driven by temporary passions, and ensures laws have broader support. The bicameral model also allows different social classes or interests to have their own chamber where they can protect their legitimate concerns. The commons can check aristocratic privilege, the aristocracy can moderate democratic excess. Neither can oppress the other through legislation alone. The executive power is the authority to enforce laws, conduct foreign affairs, command the military, handle diplomatic relations, and manage the day-to-day administration of government. This requires unity, decisiveness, speed, and sometimes secrecy, characteristics very different from legislative deliberation. Montesquieu argues the executive should be held by a single person, a monarch or president, who can act quickly and coherently. Committees fail in execution. They deliberate endlessly, leak secrets, divide responsibility, and move too slowly for effective administration or military action. But, and this is absolutely crucial, the executive must not have legislative power. The executive enforces laws made by others, executes policies decided by the legislature, operates within boundaries set by law. The executive cannot simply decree whatever they want and then use force to impose it. That would collapse the separation and recreate tyranny. The executive's power is real and substantial, controlling the military, conducting diplomacy, appointing administrators, enforcing laws, but it's bounded by legislation. The executive can act only according to law, within limits set by the legislative power. The judicial power is the authority to interpret laws and judge specific cases, to determine whether laws were broken in particular situations, adjudicate disputes between parties, impose punishments on lawbreakers, and resolve uncertainties about what the law means in concrete circumstances.
This must be completely independent of both legislature and executive. Why? Because if the lawmaker judges cases, they can interpret their own laws however benefits them, changing meanings retroactively, protecting themselves and their allies while persecuting opponents. If the enforcer judges cases, courts become instruments of persecution. The executive uses judicial power to crush dissent, eliminate rivals, and legitimize oppression through legal forms. Only an independent judiciary can provide impartial justice, applying laws without fear or favor, protecting rights against both executive overreach and legislative tyranny, ensuring everyone receives equal treatment under law. Montesquieu goes further with an idea that would prove controversial. Judges should be strictly bound by law, not exercising personal discretion or creative interpretation. He writes, quote, "The national judges are no more than the mouth that pronounces the words of the law, mere passive beings, incapable of moderating either its force or rigor." This sounds mechanical, even dehumanizing, but Montesquieu's point is that judges should apply law as written, not make policy through judicial activism. If judges can effectively create new law through interpretation, they're exercising legislative power, collapsing the separation. Judges apply laws, they don't make them. Now here's where Montesquieu's genius truly shows. These three powers must be held by different people or groups with different interests and different motivations. Not just different offices that the same people rotate through, not just different functions that ultimately answer to the same authority, but genuinely separate institutions controlled by different individuals or groups who have their own reasons to protect their authority. Why does this matter so much? Because of Montesquieu's profound insight about human nature. Ambition counteracts ambition. Institutional self-interest becomes the engine of liberty.
The legislature wants power. Its members are ambitious, seek influence, want to expand their authority. If they could, they would dominate government completely. The executive wants power. The president or monarch is ambitious, seeks to act decisively, wants to expand authority. If possible, the executive would rule absolutely. The judiciary wants power. Judges seek influence, desire respect for their interpretations, want to expand judicial authority. They would dominate if they could. But when these three ambitious institutions are separate, each jealously guards its own turf against encroachment by the others. The legislature's ambition to expand checks the executive's ambition to dominate. The executive's ambition checks the legislature's. The judiciary's ambition checks both. This mutual jealousy, this competition for authority, creates a dynamic equilibrium. No branch can dominate because the others are watching, ready to resist any encroachment on their prerogatives. Each branch's selfish desire to maintain and expand its own power becomes the mechanism that prevents any single branch from accumulating tyrannical authority. From this tension, this competition, liberty emerges. Not because everyone is virtuous or wise, not because institutions are perfectly designed, not because citizens are constantly vigilant, but because different people with different powers are all ambitious and none can dominate. This is Montesquieu's revolutionary insight, designing a system that works with human nature as it actually is, not as we wish it were. You don't need philosopher kings or enlightened citizens or virtuous rulers. You just need ambitious people in different positions watching each other jealously and protecting their own authority. It's not harmonious. It's not efficient. It's often frustrating and slow. But that's exactly the point. Montesquieu believes tyranny comes from government acting too easily, too quickly, too decisively, without opposition. Better to have gridlock than dictatorship. Better to have slow, messy, frustrating government where things are hard to accomplish than fast, efficient tyranny, where the ruler's will becomes law instantly. The separation of powers isn't designed to make government work smoothly. It's designed to make tyranny difficult. That's the priority. Liberty matters more than efficiency.